Welcome back to Monetization Mastery. In this video, I'm going to be doing a quick crypto market update, talking about the prices over the last week or so, some news in the market and some interesting projects which I'm quite bullish on, so I'll be covering that off in the video, and I'll talk about some key news events that have happened that are probably what's causing the market to dip and kind of be very volatile at the moment. So before we go any further, please subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell and select the all option so you don't miss any updates or videos from me. Remember that YouTube will gatekeep most crypto videos, so if you want to be notified when I'm releasing these videos, make sure you select the all option. And of course, smash the thumbs up if you like the video and leave a comment below and let me know some of your experiences in the past week or so with cryptocurrency, what you're bullish on, and or anything else that you want to talk about in crypto. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. So overall in the market, over the past 24 hours, things have been pretty good. If we just have a look at the sort of list of cryptocurrencies and altcoins, most things are in the green at the moment. A lot of altcoins, ADA's up again, ETH's up again, and even Bitcoin's on the rise. So from a 24-hour perspective, it looks quite positive. I do expect some of this to crash again because we are still in a distribution phase, which could be really interesting, and there's still a lot of FOMO in the market, so I wouldn't be surprised if this goes down again. Over the 7 days, you can see, again, Cardano is really interesting. It's still rising, which is really good. So that says a lot about the project and the fact that a lot of people are trusting it and not seeing it as kind of naturally tied to Bitcoin, which is what a lot of people do when they look at cryptocurrency. They kind of look at Bitcoin and suggest that every other project follows the same pattern, and that's not true at all. The interesting one is the 30 days. So if we compare Bitcoin versus ADA, they're almost polar opposites. So Bitcoin slashed by 35%, which is obviously going to happen because of all the talk in the news about it, Elon Musk, all that kind of China banning cryptocurrency, saying Bitcoin's bad for the environment, and I'll cover some of that off later. But ADA is up 30%, which is really interesting. And I suspect this is a lot down to the Cardano 360 event that they did with about the Alonso hard fork, and they kind of roadmapped out what's going to happen. So it's going to be great for that. In terms of volume traded, I think the biggest thing is Tether at the moment. So a lot of people choosing to invest in stable coins. If you're not sure what a stable coin is, effectively it's something that's closely backed using smart contracts to the current exchange rate for perhaps US dollars. So, they don't necessarily offer a great opportunity to make massive amounts of money in investments, but when it comes to things like staking and liquidity farming and things like that, there is a lot of good opportunities in stablecoin space. And of course, what a lot of people are probably doing is leaving their cryptocurrencies in stablecoins for now until they're ready to buy back in, because it's easy to just move between a stablecoin and a cryptocurrency effectively. So you'll see them on here. There's USDT and there's some others like USDC and DAI, which are effectively other stablecoins. So the market's pretty interesting at the moment, and most things are looking great. So when it comes to the Bitcoin chart, if we just take a look, this is based on the 1 month. So we can see that there are, 58,000, 59,000 were probably like the peak areas. And as you can see, we've crashed pretty heavily since then, all to be expected. And definitely not a surprise based on the news and FOMO that's out there. The 7 day, again, as you go down in these charts, what you'll find is just the volatility just increases. It's so difficult to read and watch and predict, which is why I don't necessarily think going by charts is always a good idea. I think it's a good indicator of where things are going. But when projects aren't established and there's things in the market still going on, you can often end up reading too much into the charts, and actually all that's really been said is a few news articles, and it's caused this kind of crazy effect, which wouldn't happen otherwise if you had a more established project. So it's an interesting space to look at for sure, and it does give some value, but we're still stuck around the 30,000 mark. And again, I mentioned before, I think this will probably drop again because we are still in the there's a bit of selling pressures still. There's still news coming out every day about Bitcoin not being great for the environment, all that kind of stuff. If we now compare Bitcoin versus ADA and we look at the ADA charts instead, it's actually a different story. I mean, firstly, the line is green, which is a good thing because it means that there's an overall trend that's going upwards. We can see where we started, sort of around 130, and we peaked out around 240, 241 maybe. It probably went a little bit higher than that in some exchanges or in some places, but ultimately it was going in the right direction, and then we had the big crash, boom, right down as low as we could get really down here, and then kind of we finished sort of around 171, which is pretty good, and it's still very bullish, this project, and it paints a totally different picture because yes, there is sporadic stuff going on in the market. There's a lot of this is related to what's happened in Bitcoin and it's just cascaded through, but overall the price hasn't dipped too far, and overall it's actually up from where it started, whether you look at this in weekly, daily or monthly form. So it's a really good indicator that ADA is doing really well in the market at the moment, and continues to offer a good value project. And I've said this before, I've said this many times, when we're looking at cryptocurrency, don't be too deterred by the fluctuations in the market, because the volatility is just natural. What you're seeing is prices going up and down all the time. That's going to happen because as soon as a piece of news comes out, it will have a profound impact on the cryptocurrency it's talking about, or a blockchain, or any altcoins that may use that blockchain or have some vision on that, or could just be that any cryptocurrency gets impacted by any cryptocurrency news. That's just a matter of fact. But I mean, looking at the sort of 24-hour column here, the percentage change, most things are in the green today, which is good. There's some projects that are particularly high on that, but like Theta and Chainlink looks to be up pretty well as well. So there's a lot going for these projects, and that's why I would definitely say, and I've reiterated this in previous videos, don't think about cashing your crypto in yet because it's not going as fast as you want. Hold fire, it will get better. It's just taking some time to get through this kind of fuddy distribution phase, for want of a better word. So some other reasons to be bullish is around Cardano ADA. So I always talk about this particular blockchain and the coin because I really believe in the project. And they had their Cardano 360 event last week, which was a great event. It talked about the kind of roadmap. It was very technical in nature. I didn't watch the full thing. I watched some of the highlights of it because you need like 2-3 hours to sit through and really absorb everything. But what's interesting is they kind of roadmapped out their Alonzo rollout plan, which is effectively their testnet leading into the mainnet. So this is how they will onboard smart contracts onto their Cardano ecosystem, which is going to be a massive thing for the price, and over the coming months you're going to see that, and this is what that roadmap looks like. So what's really good about Cardano and the ADA project and everything they're doing is they give a lot of dates and roadmaps and visibility and transparency on what they're doing. So it's much less hidden and it's less guesswork and more, should I invest, yes or no? Because you can see the information in front of you. So they've kind of colored the kind of rollout plan with different colors, and they didn't really give super amounts of detail on red, black, staging and stuff, but effectively there are a number of stages. And I kind of found this post on Twitter, which is really useful, by Nico Arkeros, who has effectively put the images together for us, which is quite good. So it talks about Alonzo Blue and what's happening, and we're talking about the Pioneer Task Force getting on there, setting up, launching the first smart contracts, limited users around 50, testing these kind of Plutus smart contract solutions and the things that are going to come in. And there's all sorts of things here. It's got all the details and the exercise, and I'll link to this post so you can read it afterwards if it's of interest. And they kind of move into white around the July time, where they're onboarding more users, they're doing network benchmarking. Along the way, they're trying to optimize it, and they've gone for a kind of agile approach in terms of delivery, which means they want to deliver small increments, make sure that it works, then move on to the next stage. They're not going for this kind of big bang effect and then everything collapses on day one because a number of things weren't considered. So it's a smart rollout strategy, and it's nicely incremental, which is what I expect from any development company like IOHK or any others involved. So there's kind of white, and then it goes into purple, where it effectively becomes public as a testnet, so everybody can be on there, projects can be launched, smart contract things can be, I suppose, working. They're expecting 1,500 pioneers on there. We've got all sorts of decentralized apps and solutions on there, which is going to be really interesting to see what happens. And of course, what that will do later, as you can just see whited out here, is it will move into a kind of bug fixing and staging stage, where they will probably look to iron out any creases in it, make sure it's kind of infrastructurally set up correct, that everything works. They've resolved all the issues with partners, with an aim to push out the Alonzo mainnet, sometime towards September, October time, probably in reality. Which is really good to see. So it's nice to see that rollout plan available, and it shows that they are bullish on what they're doing, and this is going to open up some massive things. They actually talked about the ERC20 token swap generator, which is really interesting, and effectively all that is, it just allows different blockchain cryptocurrencies to move from one blockchain to another, so be able to move to Cardano, and then later there'll be feature releases where you can move from the Cardano blockchain to other blockchains, which will make it, one of a kind again. So that's why I'm really bullish on Cardano at the moment. So in relation to Bitcoin, March 2021 has possibly been the worst month for Bitcoin in a long time. It suggests here 10 years in this article on Cointelegraph. It also suggests that a lot of people are hodling, which is a drunken way of saying holding their cryptocurrency more than ever, because they kind of know what's coming and are expecting more of it. So I mean, we are on the back end now. We've just come out of May, but there's no doubt that some of these price crashes were insane. They dropped to like 30,000, which is crazy, given that we were at 60-odd thousand not too long ago. So it's almost halved. Absolutely nuts to see, in all honesty. And again, it's a lot of it has been driven by FUD in the news. It's been driven by Elon Musk. It's been driven by China talking about saying how unenvironmentally friendly Bitcoin mining is, and they have a point really, because the way that the Bitcoin algorithm works, effectively the way you mine Bitcoins is you have to solve basically maths puzzles and via algorithms, and they get harder and harder as you mine Bitcoins. So it's dynamically built by the creator, which is quite clever. I don't think the creators thought necessarily about the computing power that might be required for some of the later transactions. And as a result of that, in order to mine some of this stuff, you now need excessive computing power. Now, obviously, we're in an age of cloud computing, so we've got things like Google Cloud Platform, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and all sorts of other cloud computing services, which can offer you, data centers to effectively spin up massive machines, massive suites, networks of computers and computing power to basically crack through these algorithms. But it comes at a cost, and obviously it comes at running those things in the environment. So you're talking about, stacking thousands of computers together in one room to try and crack a Bitcoin algorithm. It just seems a bit crazy. So it'd be interesting to see whether they do anything of that. But yeah, it's an interesting article. I'll link this in. There's still a few people who are selling their hands still, so panicking in the market and thinking it's time to sell. Of course, I would advise against that at the moment. Wait for the FUD and all the news to die down a little bit, and then you'll see what the projects are really about, and you'll start to get an appreciation of that more so than if you just base it on what the price is looking like today, because it's not great. I mean, it's up, but it's not. It's miles off where it needs to be. So great article, all sorts of interesting stuff in there. But I would say Bitcoin has definitely been impacted, and it has been the worst month for a while. So Joe Biden has also, I suppose he's announced his 2022 budget, and it includes some new crypto reporting proposals, probably just to gain transparency on what's going on really. So I mean, it's actually to do with broker to broker transactions, but effectively I think he's looking for a way to make sure that things are reported in a more consistent manner and that things don't slip through the cracks. So at the moment there's not much regulation when it comes to cryptocurrency. I think the whole benefit and excitement about it is that there will be less, but at the same time, if you don't have any regulation or effect, then you could have a real problem with the economy, with effectively just creating online currencies, and if they're not regulated, it could cause economy crashes or changes to everything, which could cause instability for any country or even parts of the world. So I think what they're suggesting isn't really that untoward. I mean, really, it's just talking about taxpayers buying crypto assets from one broker and then transferring them to another. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more of this, to be honest, going forward from any country in the world, because it makes sense, right? You do something financial, there needs to be some regulation. When something new comes in, there's less rules and regulation about it. And all of a sudden, as things start to become problematic, regulations are put in to effectively safeguard and protect the public, the economy, and that might sound a little bit kind of corporate, but that is the case here as well. So I don't think there's anything untoward with this. Some of these things will crash the market occasionally. I think as the projects start to roll out a little bit more, we'll see less and less of this impacting the market. I mean, this particular article talks about filing returns sort of anytime after the end of 2022. So we're some way away from having to kind of to face any of this, and hopefully by then a lot of projects will be launched. There'll be less kind of speculation in the market, and there'll be some organisation to it, so it will make a bit more sense. And I don't think this stuff in the future will crash the market as much, but it's just something to bear in mind if you see the market crashing. It's because news articles like this are out there at the moment, and they come across as quite, oh, we're going to govern crypto, which is not necessarily what's being said directly, but ultimately that will happen anyway. So there's a really interesting article on the BBC that I spotted a few days ago, which was around cryptocurrency addiction, and I thought it was worth touching on because this is a space where it's very easy to get into the gambling game. It's very easy to just start turning a blind eye to research, making sure your investments make sense, and start gambling like you would on a horse or a roulette table. It just doesn't make sense to do so. And you know, if you have spare cash, fair enough, you might want to invest in something speculatively, but it's very easy to get on that slippery ladder and that slippery slope and start falling down when you're making losses, and then you're making quick bets and you're hedging that something's going to happen when you've got no substantiated evidence on that. You've listened to a few YouTube videos, everybody's very excited. I mean, I know I talk about ADA a lot. It's not me saying go out and buy it, I'm giving advice and facts. You know, you should make your own decisions, your own financial decisions more importantly. And don't get sucked into what this guy Jake did, who's lost supposedly millions of pounds trading cryptocurrencies, and he's kind of quite addicted. It says here he's lost it all in 20 minutes in one night, which is pretty insane. I mean, that probably gets to some crazy level, but people up all night looking at, you know, these investment strategies and things like that. BBC have coined some really interesting titles on this, which I can't read out for obvious reasons. But you can see them for yourself. And it's really interesting because it is 24/7, it is on your laptop, it's on your phone, you can get it anywhere. You could be awake at 2 in the morning, waiting for YouTube videos to land, trying to get ahead of the herd and all that kind of stuff. So I would just say, you know, if you ever feel like that, take a step back, because it's very easy to fall into that pattern of like constantly looking at it because it's doing well and you want to do better and you want to make more and you want to keep making more. And that's obvious, you know, I think we're all here to make a bit of extra cash so we can have an easier life. I mean, that's why you're watching the videos on my channel. But you don't want to be in a position where you're making rash decisions. And something else that could come from that is scams. So I'm briefly talking about this because there's a lot out there and I see them on all of my videos, on all the groups I'm in, on Facebook, on YouTube. There's always someone looking to scam you. So be vigilant with your investments. Don't give your money to anybody. If someone's saying they can make you money like no tomorrow, they can't. The only thing they can do is trade like we would any other trading, do their research and potentially make money that way. And you could end up having your crypto swiped from you if you're giving out things like your wallet keys and things like that. So be very vigilant with that. No one can really just make you money like no tomorrow. And if they can, you can probably do that yourself anyway, because all they're probably doing is investing in a particular strategy and trying to find a way to take profit from that, or to rip your money out from under you and catch you off guard when you give away your safe passphrases. So I would say, you know, be careful, and obviously when you're investing, do your research, get financial advice if you need to. Don't just watch a YouTube video and invest in something because you believe in that. You know, find your own facts, find your own comfort zone, find your own level when it comes to investment, and obviously make sure you can afford to lose everything that you've invested, because this isn't a space to be played with. I've seen people liquidated so quickly by using things like leverage trading options on some of the platforms that they offer, which is a crazy thing to do in a volatile market like this. So you have to be really careful what you're doing. But you know, if you do your research and you follow things well, you know, you can do some great things. So that's going to wrap up this video. Hopefully you found it useful. There's a lot of information in there. There's a lot of news in the market at the moment. I'm going to try and make these videos more frequently in the future. So hopefully I can be on top of some of that news and help you to facilitate your investments and make sure that you have got all the facts in front of you before you make them, because finding some of this information is a little bit needle in the haystack sometimes, and other times there's lots of FUD news out there which isn't really going to impact anything, and it just looks positive and is designed to make you either sell or invest or do something untoward so that whales can swoop in and steal your crypto, or what you'd invested in crypto before. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, please smash the thumbs up. Of course, it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Leave me a comment below and let me know what part of the video you thought was the best, or just anything about the crypto market in general, about your investments. Happy to have a conversation about that. And of course, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any updates, and I'll see you in the next video.